Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. If you're listening to this in the audio realm, do us a huge favor. Hey, give us a rating, a review, or like a comment or whatever it is. What is it?
Yeah.
A rating, review, or
comment? Yeah.
A comment. Is that what it is? Star rating or a review? Give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
Where
5
do people
stars
comment?
is best.
A review is just a review.
Oh yeah, you got the podcast thing mixed up with the YouTube thing then.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, do us a huge
Yes.
favor, leave us a comment, hit that like button. We're going to
Yes.
talk about AEW's Full Gear today with a new AEW World Champion. We have actually several new champions.
Yeah.
And I might add, kind of a couple surprising outcomes.
Yes.
Before we dive into that, though, I want to say thanks to everybody who joined us on the Twitch and on the YouTube across both platforms. That's how we do it these days. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
all
everybody.
the subs, all the super chats, all that stuff. Thanks again to the Enforcer, as always, for hanging out with us.
And it looks like the Enforcer is well on his way to defending Big Red this month. Wiped the floor with us yesterday during Impact Overdrive when it comes to predictions.
Oh, yeah.
Had himself a strong night tonight.
Oh,
He's got a
yeah.
huge lead going into Survivor Series.
Oh, yeah.
It's Enforcer's title to lose at this juncture.
Absolutely. Survivor Series, I might not even do Survivor Series. Might not even do it. I don't know. Find out. There's some mystery for you. No, I'm totally going to do Survivor Series. We have to.
The pressure's off now. I can just sit and enjoy the show. I don't have to worry
Exactly.
about
I can chill, get
predictions
some
and that
BK.
kind of stuff.
You know, don't have to worry about math and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you said Burger King, you get a long chicken sandwich?
Oh, dude, maybe 2. I don't know. Maybe. Hot stuff. Anyways, let me load up my notes here for
I guess
Gear.
yes. Let's talk highlights before we get to the breakdown of each match. You mentioned new champions.
Well,
by my count,
what was your general impression of Full Gear this time? Like maybe even compared against the last pay-per-view. What did you think of Full Gear in general?
I mean, it didn't. I didn't feel like there was lulls.
Yeah.
Like lulls.
Like laughs. Like laughs.
Not like laughs.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel like there was any lulls. I think the match quality across the board was really good.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of complaints. It was a really solid show. We're speculating, somewhat hoping that based on what could happen at Full Gear, you know, maybe the Blackpool Combat Club's no more. Maybe the Jericho Appreciation Society are going to start falling apart. Maybe we'll have some new champions. This will be a bit of a reset. And, you know, whatever plans had to be scrapped because of Brawl Out, and even before that, injuries, maybe now that creatively they can kind of get back on track.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it did seem, it had a little, I like to use this phrase sometimes, when you could just feel the energy of a show. It has a little pep in its step, you know, like one of the main complaints, even before the disastrous press conference of All Out, was it felt bloaty. You know, I know, and there was only two fewer matches this time
Tonight
around.
at All Out, yeah.
Than it All Out, but
you know,
honestly, it had a pep in its step. It felt more energetic.
It did, but part of that too, especially with All Out, was, you know, the main event was Punk and Mox, and 2 weeks before the show, they had Mox just destroy Punk on Dynamite.
It was weird. That whole setup was bizarre.
From a creative standpoint, it left a lot of people, I think, scratching their heads about why they made that choice.
Yeah, 100%.
Really leaning into the idea that is Punk's foot like healed? Is it not? And then Punk just kind of said, no, it's fine. This is as good as it's going to be, so don't worry about it.
One of the worst booking decisions of the year was probably doing the title change a couple days before the pay-per-view.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. We mentioned new champions. We got 2, I think, by my recollection. We got MJF beating Mox with the help of William Regal.
Samoa Joe.
Sorry, 3.
Yeah.
3 then, yes.
Yeah.
So we got MJF, your new AEW champion. Not that surprising. Even the outcome, the swerve, not terribly surprising. We had talked about that as a possibility. Jamie Hayter defeated Tony Storm, become the new interim. Hopefully they get rid of the interim on the women's title. Become the new women's champion.
I suspect they will, yeah.
In a really hard-hitting bout. That was great. And then Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Again, another surprise.
You know,
beat,
dude.
Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs to win the TNT Championship.
You know, coming into this in our predictions, I think it was our prediction. Oh no, it was our bonus show when we talk about 10 things that need to happen at Full Gear. Your number one was throw us some surprises.
Yeah,
you had noted that in the betting odds, Samoa Joe was way behind, a super underdog.
Way behind.
I didn't see that shit coming.
I didn't either. I didn't at all. Of course, the surprise I wanted to happen, for the sake of my prediction, Double J, Jay Lethal beating Sting and Darby. I mean, I should know better. Sting and Darby don't lose on pay-per-view.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Like the things that we thought might have been surprises that could have happened. Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal beating Sting and Darby Allin. Maybe the whole Keith Lee thing was a bit of a, so to speak, swerve. And, you know, he came out in darker colors. He looked like he could have been a bad guy tonight.
Yeah.
But in the end, there was that moment when him and Swerve was like, use the pliers. And he said, I don't go that route. Good luck to you. And he just walked out on him. Watched the rest of the match from up on the stage. Again, not really. It wasn't really. There was some tension there because, like, oh, this might happen. They actually set it up pretty well to make it to make us wonder. Like, even though it went the way that we kind of figured it would, they really did a hell of a job telling that story in that match.
They did, and even during the match when Swerve sets up that piece of guardrail next to the ring, and Caster puts Keith Lee through it, I thought, oh, maybe that's going to be the moment where Keith Lee's like, all right, no, none of this, you know, and then he kind of. You know, I thought for a moment there, if Swerve had said, hey, we got to take a couple steps, bend the rules, maybe break a couple rules to win this match. Yeah. After that spot, maybe Keith was so enraged by going through that piece of guardrail, he might have did it.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if that story beat was intentional in that respect or not, but that put the thought in my mind.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I thought, and so like the a couple of things that we thought were givens. Either Wardlow or Hobbs would come out of that TNT title match, and when we were doing the math in our heads, it's like, okay, well, Joe's not going to eat a pin. Wardlow's not going to eat a pin. It never crossed my mind that Joe would walk out double champion. Never in a million years. Because honestly, since that's how I'd book Joe. But since Joe's been around, he hasn't really been booked the way I would book Joe.
I will say this. There was a long stretch where he wasn't around. He was doing some acting work.
Doing his Hollywood stuff.
And he's only kind of really been back for a handful of months.
But man, what a way to like really sort of put, you know, an emphasis on, hey, Joe is the man and he should have 2 titles. Absolutely, he should.
Yeah. Let's talk about this as well. One match that I think we all thought to varying degrees was a given was the Elite returning, winning those trios titles. And rather than just doing that, they took an opportunity to tell a story.
Yeah.
That being Phoenix using the hammer, realizing, oh, this hammer's pretty cool.
Hammer's great.
I might want to use this now going forward.
Yeah.
And then, so the Elite lost the match against Death Triangle to try to get those trios titles back. And now we're getting a best of 7 between Death Triangle and the Elite. Here's the thing. They're going to be great matches.
A little much.
Considering what all 6 of those guys do in the ring, I'm a little worried that after 7 matches, somebody's going to get hurt.
I mean, dude, some of those spots, even just tonight, looked devastating.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about. I really, honest to God, I care about one thing, that they make each of the, because you know it's going to go to 4. It's going to go to 7 matches.
Yeah.
Like we know
exactly.
Tell a story in each of these matches, you know, and something that's different from the other ones. Because what we got tonight, it was a phenomenal match, but. You know, the story is like, let's do a bunch of really, really cool moves. And I mean, they tell some stories, but I want a little bit deeper. You know, I want some shit that's.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see now that Phoenix is apparently, at least Phoenix is on board with Hammer.
Phoenix likes Hammer. We confirmed that.
Because after the match, after he won,
but will he
using
continue
Hammer,
to want to be to like
exactly? Hammer? I don't know. When Pac had the Hammer, you know, showing Phoenix the Hammer after they won. And saying, see, look, I told you this is our key to winning. And Phoenix was like, all right, now I understand. Is Penta going to be on board with that? We're going to get a rift between the brothers now because Phoenix is like, yay, Hammer. Penta is at best, Hammer. Yeah,
Penta is Hammer curious, I think.
We don't know yet.
Hammer neutral.
Maybe. We don't know.
See Hammer, no Hammer. No,
we don't know yet. And that's the thing. That's at least the next match, there's a story there.
So Tony Khan is starting the media scrum now. It just began. He's sitting down.
Gotcha. So if nothing else, doing this best of seven series for the trios title is going to elevate the trios title.
It's going to elevate the Hammer as well.
And the Hammer.
Important.
And ultimately the Elite, because they're going to win the best of 7.
So let's go to that main event though. MJF versus Mox. MJF wins, becomes new champion. This was one of the things that was kind of predictable down to the finish itself, which saw William Regal come down, jaw a little bit with MJF, and then slide him the brass knucks. He didn't pull the trigger himself on Mox. He gave MJF the tools to do it, and he did it. There were two ref bumps.
Yes, 2 ref bumps.
There was 2 ref bumps, bit overbooked. Mox Mox, as always, he can be on vacation mode and still put on a really good match and still do a Mox match. I'll put it that way. And
let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that was good.
So the story basically of that match, for the majority of it, was, especially early on, Mox just utterly dominating MJF.
Yeah, right.
And at one point, MJF was getting some of his stuff in. He hits a tombstone on the apron, starts selling knee. Mox starts working the knee after that. Now, I don't know if it's a situation. If I had any quibble about that match, and it's small, I don't know. I kind of felt like MJF maybe should have got some more stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
He didn't. He just looked overmatched for the vast majority of the bout against Mox. He is hyped
right now. MJF.
Tony Khan?
No, MJF.
Oh, MJF.
Tony Khan seems pretty reserved again. I got closed captioning on, but they're not doing that for this. It's not on auto, I guess. No, MJF showed up. He's in front of the table that Tony's sitting at, and he is just ranting and raving. So that's happening.
An interesting watch afterwards.
Tony is probably very happy right now because he's like, oh, I know this guy.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. So yeah, no, dude, I get that. I can see that. But I don't know. You want him to be booked a little bit stronger?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it is Mox.
Yeah, I know. And he's on his way out. It's going to take, some brass knuckles to end the match. I get that. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, give MJF turn his power level up 10% more or something.
Has MJ? Yeah, but here's the thing: MJF's never really. He's like never really won a big match without the diamond ring, has he?
No,
I don't think he has. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's next for him? Let's ask that question. As he's just ranting and raving. People are saying he's cursing up a storm.
Yeah. What's next for him?
No firm tonight.
No firm
in terms of helping out. So I'm assuming.
In fact, the only firm we saw was Ethan Page doing commentary for the Ricky Starks Brian Cage match.
That's right. Yeah. I expect Starks to win that, but it would be fun to see some amount of, I guess they could go the other way. That'd be kind of interesting, heel versus heel. I mean, look, nobody's booing MJF these days. He can try as much as he wants, but nobody's booing this guy.
Yeah, nobody's booing him.
I mean, I can look at him right now and just ranting away, finger pointing, and I'm like, man, this guy is the now.
Yeah.
What a great sort of. Oh, and then he's leaving. He left. What an awesome sort of reboot. That's one thing that we were talking about, too, is that I like that this sort of represents a bit of a reboot, because the last 3 months, this past pay-per-view cycle it's been dogged because of some creative issues.
Yes.
It's been overshadowed by CM Punk and the Elite investigation. Mm-hmm. That stuff is pretty much done with. Mm-hmm. In terms of sort of overshadowing stuff. The Elite's back. They're going to have 1 million matches now with Death Triangle. And there's a lot now. We had a breakup of a tag team, a new women's champion who I have no doubt, it might even happen during this media scrum. Tony Khan might declare that Jamie Hayter is women's. Yeah.
Get rid of the interim. Yeah.
Get rid of the interim tag, because who knows when Thunder Rosa is going to be back. But yeah, you had like Swerve and Our Glory break up. House of Black is coming back, and you know that they're probably going to want to do something big with them. They should. They absolutely should.
I know.
So, hopefully on Wednesday, we'll get a bit of a reset, and they'll be able to, to refocus their efforts,
Yeah.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Saraya came back and had a big match against Britt Baker. It was kind of there was a little bit of ring rust there, but they told the story of Britt Baker trying to target the neck, which I think is probably going to be a lot of Saraya matches from this point on.
I think so.
And
if they're trying to tell stories based on Bryan Danielson's eye injury more than a decade ago, they're gonna that's gonna be Saraya's story for a while.
Yeah, but no, I thought it was a good return match back. Her brother was there, and she was quite emotional.
Yeah, you could tell it meant a lot to her,
obviously, which was pretty great.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we get into the nitty gritty, you want to pay some bills real quick?
Sure, let's do that. Let's take a quick break here, friendos. This episode of Going In Raw is brought to you by BetterHelp. I've spoken about it before here on the show, but there was a time in my life where I kind of wished that life came with a user manual. I was getting really overwhelmed by life's challenges and started dealing with severe anxiety. It got to the point where I realized that I needed to go to therapy.
Yeah, man, therapists are trained to assist you in figuring out the causes of challenging emotions and help you learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the nearest thing to a user manual of the complex engine called you.
That's true, Steve. And while it took me a while to find someone I felt comfortable talking to, once I did, I was able to learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you could easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler.
No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off on your first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
So it kicked off in the buy-in.
Yes.
The what are they don't call the buy-in? They call
Zero
it
Hour. Before we get into this,
Zero
Grinder
Hour
here says that Revolution's going to be in San Francisco March 5th.
Ooh.
That's news.
That's news. That's cool. All right. Confirmed. It'll be 90 minutes from us.
Yeah.
That's neat. That's cool. We also have a new merch shop. FriendoShop.com. You looking for some gifts? You want some super comfy shirts? FriendoShop.com. Right now we got a Black Friday deal going. Friendo Friday. We got new shirts. You guys really enjoy those Triple H phone calls with Larson here, or he calls him Steve. You can get the Don't Interrupt Me shirt. That's right. It's a collaborative effort with us and Paul on the call.
You know, I got to say this. It's I keep my cool.
Yeah. Well,
but
barely.
when he asks a question and then pauses and then I answer the question, he says, "Don't interrupt." I just don't get it.
Well, the idea is he would not. He doesn't want you to interrupt what he's saying. We'll talk about it after the show. Look, I'm
not. He asked the question. There is a pause.
Listen, it's not here, not now.
Okay,
I got notes. I got notes for you. It's good.
I have notes for the show. I don't need your notes. What notes are you talking about?
I got notes to handle the Paul conversations.
I don't need your damn notes.
The 0 Hour opened with the Factory versus the Best Friends, who were going to have a mystery, very evil.
Yeah,
very nice, very evil. Mystery partner. To make it 5-on-5. This was, I think did anybody put all their confidence points on this one?
No, I had a lot. We all had a lot.
Yeah. So it was apparently the darker version of Danhausen. Yes. He had like blood around his mouth. He came out with teeth and a spike, like a cooler jacket. It wasn't, oh, hey, look, fun time Danhausen. Yeah. It was a strong style Danhausen. Now, I'm sure people who are very familiar with Danhausen on the indie circuits probably understand that apparently he did this there, and that's why people are marking out for it. But I thought it was pretty cool, and I'd like to see this version of Danhausen more often. When he turns it up a notch, we get some King's Road style wrestling, man.
Exactly. He wasn't booked as a comedy act here.
No, correct.
He went in and wrecked everybody.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The match was maybe arguably, even though it was 4-on-5, with the factory having that advantage, that it was maybe more competitive than it needed to be.
Oh yeah.
But it set up Danhausen quite nicely because QT hits Orange Cassidy with the diamond cutter. Orange rolls the apron, and then QT's looking for a pile driver on the ring steps, and that's when Danhausen makes his entrance. Orange tags in Danhausen, and Danhausen just lays out the factory all by himself.
Yeah.
So then Orange hits Nick Camarado with the orange punch. Danhausen then pours his jar of teeth into Camarado's mouth, follows with a huge boot to get the win, and then the best friends throw QT into the ring, and then Danhausen hits him with the spike.
Poor QT Marshall. After that, new official signee of AEW, Konosuke Takeshita, had an interview. He says he's happy with his win last night. He's happy to come to America to join AEW. And then Renee mentions that he's officially All Elite. He says, my dream has come true. I'm moving to America. I'm going to fight for my life in AEW.
Yeah.
Backstage. Then we had also in the pre-show, we had Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks selling the variety of injuries that he's racked up against Lance Archer.
He doesn't even take off his shirt because he's got the rib tape probably.
It looked like it was a house show match, dude. He had the rib tape on, but he didn't want to, specify, I think, to Brian Cage, the Swolverine, where the target was on him.
Which, fair point. That's sound strategy there.
Absolutely.
I think that's a mistake a lot of people make when they have an injury and they put all that tape and stuff on it. Well, of course they're going to attack that area.
You got to wear, what you got to do is wear the full long sleeve shirt that Kenny Omega returned in last time.
I know.
Didn't need it this time, by the way. Kenny Omega was jacked and tan,
got
man.
That right.
Oh, boy.
Got that right.
Getting back to this Cage versus Starks match. Unfortunately, it was not a Philly street fight. But any event. It ended the same way. Ricky Starks got the win here.
Yeah, the finish was pretty cool. That's 2 straight matches now where Starks has had like really cool finishes to his bout. So Cage hits him with a power bomb, buckle bomb, discus lariat. Starks kicks out of that. So Cage goes up top, misses what I think is supposed to be like an elbow drop. Starks was looking for his finisher. Cage escapes that, looking for an F5. Starks somehow reversed the F5 attempt to a destroyer.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Crazy.
Yeah,
and then hits Rochambeau to get the win.
Yeah. So he moves on to Ethan Page now on Dynamite this week on Wednesday for the finals. I mean, I could see this going either way. MJF, obviously, big heel, but Ethan Page, history with MJF, where do you think this is going to go? Now that we've established neither of us are very good at predictions these days.
No, not at all. No. I'll tell you this. This is my worry. If there's any sort of deal still between MJF and the firm, that if Page wins, they're going to do like some finger poke.
Oh, no. Come on. They're not going to do that.
I would hope not.
You know what would be cool, though? It'd be kind of cool if it ended up being Ethan Page and the firm ends up being still cool with MJF. Yeah. And Ethan and everybody's telling him do the finger poke of doom thing. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And you launch it. Ethan Page is so on the cusp of being. I personally, I love Ricky Starks. I think that he could be the next big thing, tomorrow. Ethan Page, it takes one. It'd take one. I think Ricky Starks might be a couple stories away from that. Page is ready now.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have one big thing where like the firm is still with MJF and they jump him out or something like that because he doesn't do the finger poke, and maybe it takes the entire firm to make sure that he loses against MJF, you could create a new star overnight. Absolutely. Like an upper main event TNT title guy.
Yeah. I hope they do something like that rather than, look, we were always kind of aligned together.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I think you could do a Starks too. This is my own personal predilection. I kind of like Starks a bit more when he was a bad guy. Now that he's a good guy who's just, he kicks out of everything. I think he's great. I think the world of him. I like him as a bad guy more. But no, either way, like you got a pretty good story here for these guys. I just feel like because of the business with the firm, Page might make a little bit more sense at this point. And plus Starks had to go through Cage and Archer Like he's beat
he's
up.
Beat to shit.
He is beat to shit. Like if Paige doesn't win this, he might look a little bit like an asshole.
Yeah. Then we got an Eddie Kingston interview in advance of his match against Jun Akiyama, and he tells Renee, "I don't want to talk right now." He says, "But I was 18 when I first saw Akiyama fight, and I said that's how I wanted to fight, and that's who I want to fight." He says, "I don't know if I'm going to win or lose. I can't even focus right now." And he kind of tries to collect himself for a moment and says, "Nah, I'm not losing this." And he walks out, and that match was next.
Yeah. And it was honestly, number one, this was a brutal match. It was right in line with what Kingston wanted. You know, just huge physicality, Kings Road type stuff. And man, there was a ton of it. Just people dropped on their heads, flush knee strikes, all sorts of strikes,
stiff back fists.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe it took 2 in the end, back fist from Eddie.
Yeah, he hit one earlier in the match, and then he hit like an Emerald Flosion. June kicks out of that, and then Eddie hits another back fist to get the win. Yeah, absolutely. And afterwards, he drops a promo because this is the main event of the kickoff. He drops a promo, and he's like, they have like a good 6 minutes left or so, maybe like 4 minutes, and so they needed him to talk for time. And so he drops a promo, and he's like, "Hey, this is about you. Don't thank me. Thank all of you. Thank you, Akiyama. Thanks to Kings Road Style. Rest in peace, Baba, Ricky Dozen, Misawa, and Noki. I hope I made you proud tonight." He says Mox is going to beat. Then he just starts selling the card. He's like, "We still got time left. Mox is going to beat the piss out of MJF, all confidence points." Crowd boos. He says, "You might cheer him, but he's still a scumbag piece of shit." And he says, "Oh, you're going to wrap me up? Okay, goodbye." He says, "It's time to go. Okay, bye." Yeah. And he just walks out.
And then he walks out. Yeah.
It was great. To kick off the main card, we got a cage match. Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy. Speaking of brutal, this match was brutal. Jungle Boy is busted open with like the first 5 minutes.
There was some pretty damn good TV direction here too. There's that shot where like the blood was just dripping on the cage mesh itself. Yeah. This is actually a really, really good match. They teased some interference from Christian. He sort of did a little swiping of the key from a ref at one point, and he was trying to get it unlocked, and the refs caught him, and security came and took him away, kicking and screaming. And then it was just down to Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, man. I thought these guys just put on a hell of a performance. Jungle Boy's probably hurting right now because that he did the leap from the top of the cage.
That elbow,
an elbow onto Luchasaurus on a table, but he sort of undershot it a little bit. I thought this was a really good win for Jungle Boy here.
It was. Yeah. That bit with Christian was somewhat comical where he's sneaking it behind the ref.
Oh, super comical, yeah.
Just pulling that key out of his pocket. It was like on a lanyard or something like that. Towards the middle, there was a bunch of brutal spots with the chair. Jungle Boy hits a kill switch on a chair. Luchasaurus choke slams Jungle Boy on the chair. It got pretty rough towards the end, but yeah, that table spot. Then Jungle Boy puts on the snare trap. Luchasaurus taps. Jungle Boy wins.
And then we had Death Triangle. Oh, well, let's talk about this real quick. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I thought that this feud has done a really good job building up Luchasaurus as I'd like getting away from this feud. I think works for both these guys because this has got to be it. Maybe they'll run Christian versus Jungle Boy back, but
once Christian's healthy,
once he's healthy. But like I don't know when that's gonna be. But I think this is done really well. I think it's done really well for everybody. I like Luchasaurus as a bad guy. I don't know where he goes from here in terms of like, is he going to be at the point of a Will Hobbs? Because Will Hobbs could be TNT champion. He could have been TNT champion tonight. I think he's further along. The fact that should he stay with the dinosaur stuff being a bad guy? Sort of hard to take him seriously, right?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I guess he has to. I guess it all depends if he continues to go out there and just destroys everybody.
Yeah.
Because at that point, if he comes off as legit, regardless if he's a dinosaur.
Got a goofy ass mask on, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a cool mask.
It is a cool mask. They can walk away from him literally saying that he's a dinosaur like he did when he was a phase to just him being, like giant and imposing like dinosaurs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, not a literal dinosaur, metaphoric dinosaur.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as far as Jungle Boy is concerned, I don't know. There's like a million titles out there he could go after. I don't know which one he would. Yeah, I mean, he could be an all Atlantic guy.
Yeah,
That's sort of that tie. That's what's that?
Or someone's gonna have to take that off Orange Cassidy first, though.
Yeah. I feel like that's going to be the new TNT title where like it just switches hands a bunch. I know Cassidy's had it through a bunch of defenses, but
yeah,
I feel like that's going to be the case because I don't know, man. Joe having both those titles, that's exciting.
Yeah, I know.
That's cool.
I'll see him dropping either of those titles for a little bit.
Oh, that's not a terrible idea. Dark Dank Lucha here in Twitch chat says go after the FTW title.
Oh, Hook's going to hold on to that as long as Taz wants him to.
That's a good way to step up Hook though. Get him in there with some like real opponents, you know.
Yeah. Then we had the Trios Championship bout, Death Triangle versus the Elite. So they really tried to milk the entrance for the Elite. They didn't come out immediately, and when they did,
it's pretty.
They had like some really wordy thing pop up on the scoreboard, and then they actually came out to Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas. Now I guess the Young Bucks were trying to get a trademark for Wayward Sons.
Yeah,
and they dropped their application, but Tony Khan apparently ponied up to have this played at the pay-per-view. But
it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, like as Enforcer said when we were watching the show, whenever I hear that song, I think of Guitar Hero.
I don't have that association. I didn't play a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I could see that. I mean, it's cheesy. Knowing that this song really hits them in the feels, you know, makes me think a certain way about the Young Bucks. It's like they're younger than us, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like that song is even too old for us, man.
I know.
Like I don't, you know, it's like but it's like it's a good song for a wrestling entrance. They established that. If Tony really wanted to make it up to them for this suspension, you know, and Kenny getting bit by a guy, putting him in that position. I'm gonna get comments now. Are you serious about? Somebody asked me the other day because I said, "Oh, suspending the Elite for no reason."
Oh,
being sarcastic? Yeah. Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah, I saw that. That's supposed to be a serious statement. That's what they said.
Is that supposed to be serious? What if it is? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
It's up to you.
Maybe now you have to question everything we say in the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Maggie says Matt's 37 and Nick's 33. Nick's only 33, really? Holy crap. Man, that song must mean a lot to them.
I guess so. I guess
but,
so.
No, Kenny looked amazing. God damn it.
Jack.
Vascularity. Oh, is that Kenny Omega or Brian Cage? He looked amazing.
Oh, jacked.
Just jacked and just so tan.
Yeah. Super jacked. Super tan. Fantastic bout. Whenever you get these 6 guys in the ring, magic happens.
That fucking Nick Jackson Hurricane Rana off the top to the floor on
to everybody else on Phoenix probably.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was terrific.
There were several sequences with Nick and Phoenix where they were just doing crazy, ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I mean, it's silly to try to go through and highlight all the awesome spots.
With these matches. Yeah,
no,
we don't do that shit.
So let's go towards the end. So Kenny's looking for a V trigger on Phoenix. Penta stops it with a sling blade, and then he hits Young Bucks with sling blades. He gets super kicked by all 3 members of the Elite. Nick hits a poison Rana on Phoenix. Kenny power bombs him, and then the Elite destroy Phoenix with knees. Pac breaks up that pin.
Mm-hmm.
So Pac gets the hammer out of his trunks. And he's looking to hit Kenny with it. Well, Nick instead intercepts with a super kick, and then Nick hits Pac with a dive. Matt hits Penta with a moonsault. This is all to the floor. And then Kenny hits Phoenix with a V trigger. And after that happens, Pac slides the hammer in to the ring. And so Kenny gets Phoenix up on his shoulders for a one-winged angel, and Phoenix is trying to fight it. But Kenny's about to get him down for it, and Phoenix hits him in the head with the hammer. Rolls him up to get the win. And afterwards, Pac picks up that hammer and just absolute glee on his face.
Oh, yeah.
Pointing at it, telling Phoenix, see what this did?
Oh, do you see the hammer? It's magical.
This won us the match. This is what we got to do. And Phoenix looks at him and goes,
wow, yeah, hammer.
Like the light bulb went off on his head.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it makes sense now.
Look what I did with this hammer. And then meanwhile, like Penta's over there like, cero miedo, pero uno hammer. Como se dice hammer, Maggie? Yeah, no, that was good stuff. And as far as where this goes from here, 7 matches.
6 more matches. This is the first of 7.
Oh, whoa, well, this was the first of 7?
Yeah. There's a match 2 on Dynamite, yeah.
Are they all for the title? Or is it like whoever comes out?
I don't know if they specified. And if they did, I didn't pick it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Martillo uno. Martillo. Yeah, man. After that, we had Nyla Rose versus Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill shouting out those Thundercats.
Mm-hmm.
Thundercats, whoa. Yeah, man, she's a Chitara, I think.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge Thundercats guy. Were you?
I had a stretch where I watched it quite a bit, yeah.
I was more a He-Man guy.
I liked He-Man, too.
When I was a kid, it was like, you're either a He-Man guy or you're a Thundercats guy. It can't be both.
Well, I was both.
Yeah. Well,
I had some Thundercats toys. I also had
I wouldn't have been friends then.
But I also had G.I. Joe and I had Transformers.
Well, that's different, though. One's army and one's robots and stuff.
I know. I'm just saying I was just into a lot of different things. I had toys.
I had Mask. Well, look at you, rich kid, huh?
Well, hardly.
I had everything. Huh?
Not like I had giant play sets of all. I really had a couple things of each.
Did they interact with each other? Was it shared universe?
Oh, probably.
I think I even kept that separate.
Like my brother's probably playing his Transformers. I get my G.I. Joe helicopter.
Yeah, right.
Shooting his Transformers. The Transformers are just like waving it off.
Yeah, right.
Hammers the helicopter. It explodes on the ground.
Oh, my God.
Duke runs away. I don't know.
Sounds like a Michael Bay movie you had going on at your house, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. I would just do that to try to annoy my brother. Hey, look. Like, oh.
And then he punches you. So anyways, so of course the silliness of this, the setup here, of course, Nyla Rose still in that title. Mm-hmm. But this match was fine. I like the, doing each other's move stuff. Yeah, I always love that. I like that stuff.
I know.
That's really good. So, Nyla hits Jade with, the Jaded, and, Jade kicks out of that. Jade hits Nyla with a Beast Bomb. Nyla kicked out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this was good stuff. In the end, though, Jade hits a big old pump kick and then hits Jaded to get the win. And she did procure her title back.
Got her belt back, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we had the 4-way bout for the Ring of Honor Championship. Claudio Castagnoli.
This was good.
Bryan Danielson, Sammy Guevara. And your champion, Chris Jericho. And the dynamic of this was set up.
Whoa. What? Not just Sammy Guevara. Oh, Sammy Guevara and perhaps the worst cape I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking with that.
This was amazing with how bad it was. So it was like, number one, the straps looked like they were made out of cardboard. They were cardboard colored.
Worked into the straps were his initials, S and G, and those were resting uncomfortably right over his nipples.
Right. It looked like one wrong move in cape, and the tip of nipple would be sliced.
Yes.
Pinched, or at least pinched.
And then he had shoulder pads with little spikes on them.
Yeah, terrible.
That didn't look like they were like secure enough because they kept on kind of moving around, and then the cape looked like it was kind of like thin, flimsy fabric.
This was morning project is due type work here. This is, oh my God, I told Jericho I was gonna have this cool cape, and then I didn't do the cape. I need to do this cape quick because call time is in 3 hours.
Yes.
Let me put together this, and he awkwardly cuts out an S and a G from a piece of cardboard, and then another, and then the straps.
It was something else.
My cat's barking at me, or she's growling at me because I'm running down the cape.
Yeah, I guess so.
Big cape we should move on. That dog of mine, yeah.
I guess so. You mean your cat?
Sorry, cat. Yeah.
Cat. Yeah. So the dynamics of this were set up early on. It was Jericho saying, "Well, Danielson and Claudio are just going to destroy each other. I'll take advantage. Sammy, you're going to do the right thing."
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Of course, Sammy didn't do the right thing. At one time, Jericho literally said, "Sammy, stand in the corner so I can cover."
Yeah.
I get the pin here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And at first, Sammy did it, but then at a certain point, he's like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Things got chippy between him and Jericho, pushing, shoving, hitting, moves on each other. In comparison, I know at one point, Claudio and Danielson cleared the ring, and they looked at each other, and they're like, all right, shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we'll fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was more gentlemanly.
Yeah, right.
You know, it wasn't like, as Jericho said, they're going to be at each other's throats and fall apart. That was Jericho and Sammy.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, no, I actually really, really like this match.
Yeah, it was really good.
I thought that all the stories being told were told really, really expertly. The Sammy and Jericho stuff. I mean, they had me at the point where Sammy was so over Jericho, he goes on this big run and he hits his go to sleep and then his 450, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, beat this guy. He only got 2 with that. And then everybody, I mean, long story short, everybody else was getting all their shit in. And in the end, Jericho sends a flying Judas effect into Claudio had, what was it? Didn't Claudio had Sammy?
Yeah, he was spinning Sammy, and Jericho hits a flying Judas effect that follows with a standard Judas effect to get the win.
Yeah. So this was, I mean, you know, we kind of figured Jericho would win this. Not a lot of confidence points on this one going into it, but the story itself was really, really well told. And yeah, I like this. I've actually really quite liked Jericho's run as Ring of Honor champion, the Ocho. Jericho really does endeavor to make everything a story, whether it's every match he's in or every feud he's in. He really does what he can to make the most out of it. He sort of, brushed off the Sammy stuff a little bit later in an interview, but it'll be interesting to see if they follow up with that on Sammy's behalf, because obviously he can't feel too good about Jericho telling him to stand in a corner.
I know.
So that'll be interesting if that simmers up.
Yeah.
Apparently. So sorry, White Brownie here, I think it was, who was on somebody in our chat, said that, Muted Mayday says, apparently Tony Khan has confirmed that it's still going to be an interim title right now.
All right. Next, we got Saraya taking on Britt Baker. Fun bout. It got, did not get overbooked in the finish. That was the women's title match. But it took a couple, I don't know what she's calling her finish now. Used to be the Rampage.
Yeah.
They gave the Page Turner a new move. Nightcap.
Nightcap. Yeah.
But I didn't hear what the name for her finish now. So she hit that earlier in the match. Britt kicked out. So towards the end, she hits two. Move formerly known as Rampage to get the win. But yeah, Britt was from opening bell till as long as she could. She was working neck, but it was pretty interesting early on. Like the first thing Britt did was hit Saraya with the shoulder tackle. She takes the bump, and Saraya's down there holding her neck in her head.
And she makes it like she's trying to feel her arm, like her arm goes numb. And so everybody's sitting here, and then she just hops up and starts laughing. So that was an interesting way to start the match. Just from like, hey, okay, let the elephant in the room. Let's address that. I'm fine. Let's have a match. We saw like a draping neck breaker to the floor. We saw another neck breaker I think multiple in the ring. The whole story was she's targeting the neck. And Saraya, I don't know how far they're going to go with this. Everybody targeting the neck. Probably they will. But in terms of, hey, I'm fine, I can wrestle these matches. I thought this was an effective way of letting us know, okay, she's fine.
Yep, exactly. 2 move formerly known as Rampages later, Saraya gets the win. And understandably, she is overcome with emotion. Her brother was sitting there. It was a pretty huge moment for her.
That was nice to see. We'll talk more about Britt Baker a little bit later.
We will.
But first, before that, we had the TNT title match, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. Again, man, we're going match by match here, and I loved this match. I thought, again, this was the big meaty men slapping meat match, and man, they all brought it. There were some spots in this match that were just brutal, that were just physical. Yeah. There was one bit where Hobbs went after Joe on the outside, and Joe went flying to the barricade, and part of him landed near a chair, and the chair just bent. There was a lot of collateral damage in this match. I thought this was really, really fun stuff. Wardlow does some shit, man. Wardlow does some shit.
Like whisper in the wind thing he did?
Right. Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
You don't usually see a guy that size do that kind of stuff.
Dude, he puts together some moves in that ring. Like, he's just learning and learning. And yeah, let's talk about the finish here. We had, so Hobbs hits Wardlow with a spine buster. Wardlow kicks out of that. Hobbs looks for a slam. Wardlow escapes, looks for an F5. Hobbs escapes that. Wardlow hits a power bomb. Hobbs almost immediately gets back to his feet, but he's wobbly. Wardlow hits another power bomb, then another. Now Joe has been out from the barricade
Since the barricade spot. Yeah.
So he hits another power bomb, then another. I think it was four
altogether. He's doing the symphony thing. He's really playing to the crowd. He's kind of looking over at Joe every now and again.
He's playing to the crowd too much.
Yeah.
So Joe runs into the ring, blasts Wardlow with the TNT title. It's triple threat. It's no DQ.
Yep.
And Hobbs, who's already been hit with 4 power bombs. So this is a super protected loss for Hobbs right here.
Yeah.
He's been hit with 4 power bombs. He chokes out Hobbs to get the win here. So now he's champ, and Hobbs and Wardlow exchange a little glance. Is there any chance that little glance is going to be like, hey, we can wreck each other, or we can be a tag team? Yeah, or we could be a tag team and wreck the tag team because Wardlow's just out of a tag team with this guy. Let's hop into another one with another guy. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't know. I think that glance was probably just like, hey, we put on a really good match.
That could be, or we need to fight 1-on-1, and then whoever wins that gets Joe.
That could be as well. Yeah, that could be as well. I don't know. It's really interesting because Wardlow, he's lost the TNT title. Lot of history with him and MJF. I mean, dude, the way MJF has been, but a lot of these guys have a lot of history with MJF. He's been all over the company. So yeah, that'll be interesting when Wardlow and MJF. I mean, honestly, dude, if you're Tony Khan, you start really utilizing the AEW originals. You know, you got MJF now as your champion.
Yeah.
Do everything you can to keep on building up Wardlow. Have him be the next guy. I still see sort of like Batista levels. He needs to get like the personality promo stuff down.
Yeah, he does.
But the moves are phenomenal in the ring.
Part of that is putting him in interesting stories, though.
It is. It absolutely is. The character work he did when he was with MJF was fucking outstanding.
It was great.
And if you can get to that level again, yeah,
totally. He's got to stop saying Wardlow's world, though. That's one thing he's got to stop doing.
Stop that. He needs to stop that.
Stop that.
Full stop.
Then we got a Chris Jericho, Jake Hager interview. Jericho's asking about what Sammy did during their match, and he said, that's Sammy's competitiveness. That's one of the reasons. Excuse me. I had him in JAS. I expected him to do what he did, and I appreciate it. Sammy, one day will be world champion. Not today. So then Orange Cassidy steps in. He says, hey, I got a good friend who wants to fight you for your Ring of Honor title. It's Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah.
And Jericho says, don't you still owe me $7,000 for my suit? Going back to that Mimosa match.
That was good stuff.
Build up to that. And he says, Jericho says, Ishii used to carry my luggage and shine my shoes when I wrestled in Japan. And he says, when I think of Ishii, I still think of that young boy. So yeah, sure. I'll wrestle him. That's going to be a Dynamite. And so Jericho leaves, and Hager asks Orange, hey, what's in the bag? And Orange says, it's this. It's the All-Atlantic title. And he asks Hager, do you like it? And Hager goes, yeah, I like it like I like this hat. And then Orange issues a challenge for the title. And Hager's still talking about the hat. He just loves that damn purple bucket hat. It's
a pretty funny gimmick for him.
It is. It is.
Yeah. After that, we had Jay Lethal and Double J versus Sting and Darby. MVP of this match, Satnam Singh.
Absolutely.
A lot of great moments here with him just catching people, doling out choke slams. Double J started off by bringing 5 fake stings to ringside.
I think it was 5. It might have been 6.
A ton of fake stings.
Yeah.
A body bag just shows up on stage. Lethal goes to investigate. Smoke shoots out from the stage, and Darby sprints out. Decks Lethal and fake stings with a skateboard. Sting shows up behind Double J, and at first Double J is like, oh, that's a fake Sting. And then he realizes, oh, wait, no, that's real Sting. And then they just go into the crowd. The match starts from there. And we got this really great bit where Darby grabs a goth ladder, really tall one.
Yeah.
And he sets it up on the stage, and he's about to drop a coffin drop on Jarrett off the stage. Well, he does it, and commentary said it was 25 feet. I don't know if it was 25 feet, but it was really high up there.
It was a pretty serious drop, yeah.
And Satnam Singh gets in the way and just executes the perfect catch. He sort of like he sort of puts out his arms, and Darby's able to like hook the arms on the way down with the catch. and just did a great job of that. Satnam carries him to the ramp, chucks him onto it. Meanwhile, Sting's doing all sorts of crazy shit, knocks Jay Lethal off the guardrail. Jay Lethal took some fucking bumps in this match. There was one from the top of the turnbuckle to the apron. That sucked. And then there was just a lot of like people falling off stuff and Satnam Singh catching him.
Yeah,
Sting did that. He like launched himself onto Satnam Singh, kind of overshot him a little bit. He was fine. And in the end, Lethal's looking for a lethal injection after Sting and Darby hit a coffin drop, scorpion death drop combo on Satnam Singh, which was pretty great. Jarrett had blasted Darby Allin with a guitar mid coffin drop in the midair. Mm-hmm. But Darby got up, went on a run, and then Lethal's looking for a lethal injection. But Sting, the idea was Sting, it was kind of sloppy, but he reversed that into a scorpion death drop, and then Darby hits Lethal with a coffin drop to get the win here.
Yep. Yeah, so, it was a fun bout.
And I don't know, Darby had teased that they're going to sort of split and he was going to do his own thing. Again, another guy who's got history with MJF. MJF last time, I think they had a one-on-one match. MJF won that and claimed, I'm a great pro wrestler now too.
Yeah. It was a really good wrestling match.
Oh, no, that was a killer match. So I could see him doing that. Or maybe they'll just keep on teaming up. I don't know. These matches are wildly fun that they're in.
Yeah, they're usually no DQ or something. They go all over the place. Sting does crazy stuff that you wouldn't think someone that's 62 years old, or he's somewhere around there, would do. Just about landed on his face tonight, diving off the barricade.
Yeah, he did.
Then we got Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm for the interim women's championship. Awesome bout, hard hitting. Toni Storm might have broke her nose.
This was good. Yeah, this match was phenomenal.
It was really good. There's one moment where they're doing a hockey fight, and Jamie hits a forearm, and Toni literally stops for a second. And then hits a headbutt, falls on Jamie to get the cover. Jamie kicks out, but after that, Tony's pouring blood from her mouth. And then Jamie's looking for a Rainmaker for finish. Toni instead counters with one of her own. Jamie kicks out of that. Tony's looking for a cloverleaf. Hayter gets the ropes. Tony's looking for a hip attack, and then Hayter ducks. So Toni goes tumbling out of the ring. So earlier on, Rebel had come down ringside to try to interfere on Jamie's behalf. Didn't lead to anything. So this time, Toni goes flying out of the ring after missing the hip attack. Britt runs in with a hoodie on, stomps Toni on the title, which is on the floor. So
sorry, when you mentioned Rebel, she had already hit Toni with the title.
Yes.
Once. And then she got ejected and Toni was able to kick out of whatever happened after that.
Yeah. So then stomps Toni on the title, puts in the ring. Jamie hits Storm Zero. Toni kicks out of that. So Jamie's looking for a finish. Toni ducks, hits Storm Zero. Jamie kicks out.
Yeah.
Toni's looking for the cloverleaf again. Britt gets on the apron to distract her. So Toni goes after her, allows Jamie to hit a backbreaker. Toni kicks out of that. So then Britt is taking the top turnbuckle off. And I think Jamie's trying to send Toni into that corner. Instead, Toni reverses it, sends Jamie into the corner as Britt's about to remove the turnbuckle off. So Britt goes flying off the top rope with turnbuckle in hand. Hayter then ends up sending Toni into the exposed turnbuckle, follows with the Rainmaker to get the win.
I love this move. Hayter is, and you can even listen to the crowd. The crowd loves Jamie Hayter. You do this, you call the audible, or I don't think it's an audible in the ring, but I don't know what plans he might have had for Toni Storm, but it wouldn't shock me if this was a late game decision, maybe over the last couple of weeks when Tony Khan really realized, hey, I've got something here. I need to pounce on it. And they put on a phenomenal, absolutely great match. It was overbooked towards the finish, but you still want to protect Toni Storm quite a bit. This was really terrific stuff. And I mean, at this point, Britt's got to turn on Jamie, right? Like that's got to be the next thing because Britt wants that title more than she cares about friendships.
You'd think so. Although she was, a couple times actively helping Jamie to win it. But maybe that's more because she thinks, well, I have a better shot at beating Jamie than I do Toni.
Oh, absolutely. You keep that close, and then you go after it. Absolutely.
Yep. Then we had our tag title bout, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaim. No Daddy Ass joining the Acclaimed ringside. He was banned because he kept on attacking Swerve.
Yeah.
So I mentioned the guardrail spot. That took Keith Lee out of the match for a little bit. Swerve was going on a run, though. He hit Bowens with 4 house calls. Just bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And Bowens kicks out of that. So Swerve goes up top, looking for a Swerve stomp. Bowens crawls the rope to try to grab his foot, but he can't even do that. Earlier, they're just destroying Bowens' arm, too, because after the match on Dynamite, he's got it all taped up. So Swerve kicks him off, looks for a stomp. Bowens evades, hits the arrival, tags in Caster. Caster hits the mic drop. Lee gets back in the ring from the guardrail spot, breaks up that pin. So the Acclaimed are looking for their tag, their double team finish, but Bowens' arm gives out. So then Swerve hits Caster with a brain buster, tags in Lee. Lee goes on a run. They hit their finish. Caster kicks out of that. They set up again for the finish. Caster, though, so Lee has him in powerbomb position and it's kind of making his way towards the Acclaim's corner to come back towards Swerve in Our Glory's corner. Well, while he's doing that kind of loop, Caster kind of does a half crunch, reaches out to get the tag to Bowens. So Bowens tags in. So then Lee then ends up flinging Caster into Bowens, power bombing Caster on the Bowens. They both roll on the floor. Swerve throws Caster in the timekeeper area. Then he finds some pliers. And he's about to use them on Caster. Billy Gunn runs down the ringside. So the refs are escorting him backstage. So then Swerve puts Bowens in the ring. He gets in the ring, goes to Keith Lee, hands the pliers, and he's like, use these. And Keith Lee's, he hems and haws a little bit, throws the pliers aside and goes, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Swerve slaps him.
Ooh.
And then starts talking shit.
Yeah.
So Keith Lee picks up Bowens, pats him on the back, walks out.
Yeah. He's like, good luck with all that.
Yeah.
Here are my papers.
Yeah. Bowens rolls up Swerve, gets a 2. In the end, Acclaimed hit their double team finish to get the win.
Swerve put up a decent fight here after Lee left, but it wasn't enough. They're broken up. Clearly, we're going to get Lee versus Swerve. I think this is going to be an absolutely killer feud.
I think so.
And they were able to make this thing last for a long time. We got a couple of really, really great matches out of it. Part of Swerve in Our Glory's thing was helping to build up the Acclaim too. Whether it was just sort of the natural chemistry they all had in the ring or what, but I mean, they were a big part of getting the Acclaim to where they were. I mean, obviously the Acclaim did plenty themselves and they're fucking wildly charismatic, have great chemistry. Daddy Ass is there. It was kind of funny. Daddy Ass running down, sprinting down, and the refs all holding him back from interfering in the match because it'd be a DQ if he did what he wanted to do.
I know.
They had to usher him back. I thought that was a good little moment.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is going to be a killer feud. Again, this is a feud that you want to see go a couple months, just like this feud has, and it's been the better for it.
Give it a pay-per-view cycle. Have the blow-off at Revolution.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because you got Winter's coming, and then you got, whatever they do in January, and then Revolution,
Yeah. Yep. Then we had a main event.
Then we had our main event. It's funny, watching Mox's demeanor. He looks so just overwhelmingly happy. The thing about Mox is that he'll never check out. He's not checked out.
No.
You could just tell that he's very excited to be done and going on vacation. But no, it's still, he's in everybody's face, giving everybody a middle finger, saying, oh, fucking, hey, this is great. Hit me, motherfucker, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I live for this shit. I love this shit. Yeah. And early on, he is just absolutely wiping the floor with MJF, just beating the hell out of him. At one point, Mox grabs the belt from the timekeeper area, start kind of parading around the ring with it. MJF spits water in his face, gets a couple shots in. Mox just sends him into the ring steps. So there's a stretch where MJF would try to get some of his stuff in. Mox would just kind of fend him off. MJF would start to come back. He went down to, so he moved. He got enough of an advantage that he moved this table closer to ringside, the timekeeper table. He gets in the ring. Mox hits him with the cutter. It all leads to MJF hitting Mox with the tombstone on the apron. And that's when MJF starts selling knee. Eventually, Mox hits him with a pile driver off the apron through the table ringside. MJF just barely beats that 10 count. Mox hits a paradigm shift. MJF kicks out of that. And then Mox just spends a good portion of the rest of the match just going after MJF's knee. At one point, he hits a super paradigm shift, and MJF gets a single finger on the bottom rope.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So then Mox is kicking MJF in the leg a ton, and he's running the ropes. And as he's rebounding off the ropes, MJF pulls the ref in front of him. Mox runs into the ref. We get a ref bump. So MJF, he gets the Dynamite Diamond ring out of his trunks, and he's really selling, oh, am I going to use this or no? Regal comes ringside.
Oh, he's got a head full of steam. Yeah.
And he's just giving MJF the business about not using the ring. So MJF throws the ring out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He backs up. He backs into Mox. So Mox puts him on a sleeper. MJF rolls him up. There's a new ref that teleports into the ring.
Yeah.
Counts the pin. Mox kicks out. So then they back into the new ref. That ref tumbles out of the ring.
He's out. Yeah.
He's out. So Mox locks on the Bulldog choke. MJF is tapping, but Bryce Remsburg, the original ref, is still out. So Regal's telling Mox, hey, go get that ref up so that ref can count the finish or call the finish of the match. And so while Mox is doing that, Regal slides brass knuckles in the ring to MJF. MJF picks him up, punches Mox with them, covers him to get the win.
Yeah, yeah. And then we didn't really get to see much of what happened afterwards. Like there was no Regal afterwards. MJF had a security guard help him up.
There was MJF and Regal exchanged glances.
Oh, I was talking about between Regal and Mox.
Oh, sorry.
So like he has a security guard like help walk him up there, and then he shoves the security guard away. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see if what Regal has to say about this. Mox obviously is going to be gone for a little while. Yeah. But do we have any idea like how long Mox's vacation originally was supposed to be?
I think it was supposed to be 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. White Brownie here in our chat says, per John Alba, asked about Miro and Andrade. Tony Khan mentions when he launched AEW, he said he wasn't committed to having everyone booked every week. We've seen people take sabbaticals for various reasons. He says potentially something we could see for different reasons. I mean, I've always advocated for rotating people in and out based off of, just getting some rest. But like whenever I see Miro on social media, it seems to be not happy about being rotated out at this moment. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. If it's the kind of thing where everybody sort of knows going into AEW that, hey, we're going to be rotating you in and out, then I guess, it is what it is. But, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for our, I don't know. Let me ask this real quick. I didn't watch we were just sort of obviously at the beginning of the show. I saw MJF cursing up a storm on the media scrum. What would you like to see first? I mean, obviously Paige and Starks, have a number one contender match coming up.
Yeah.
So that's going to be what's next for MJF. But in terms of like a real feud for him, like it's probably going to be somebody a bit higher up on the pecking order. Where do you go first if you're Tony Khan?
I think Darby's probably a good choice. If they have any designs on doing any sort of MJF Wardlow feud, I think you wait. Unless you do the thing where MJF beats him first and Wardlow has to come back around and be the one to get the title off MJF.
Yeah.
Because I feel like MJF is probably going to have the title for a bit. I feel like he's probably going to be champion when his contract is up.
You think he's going to have that championship for, that's a year. That's a year.
A little bit more than a year, yeah.
You think he's going to have that championship the entire time?
Yeah.
Could be.
Or maybe he has it, loses it for a bit, and gets it right back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that the story, the intrigue of that story kicks up several notches if his contract's running out while he still has that title belt.
I agree. DLW here says, after the show went off the air, Yuta, Claudio, and Brian came to the ring and woke Mox up. They explained what happened, and he was pissed. Crowd chanted, "Thank you, Mox," and they all walked through the crowd to Wild Thing. He says, the source was me. I was there.
There we go.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. That's going to do it for us tonight. Full Gear is in the books.
Books.
Feels good.
Yes.
Anyways, we'll be back on Monday for, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of AEW Full Gear fallout.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot. Yep.
In the news, we'll be talking about on Monday, Impact's Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Friday Night SmackDown, and I guess the
Rampage.
Yeah, there was stuff that happened on Rampage.
Yeah.
So we got a packed Monday.
Indeed.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.